Hey everybody, welcome back. So we're going to talk about another classic 80s slasher before we get into tomorrow night, found footage Friday nights. And we're talking 1984's The Mutilator, directed by Buddy Cooper, which for a low budget 80s slasher, and it's not even that low a budget. I mean, they had $1 million budget, so it's not like low budget, but it's still low budget when you see this movie. I mean, the acting is terrible. The dialogue is terrible. Like, the redeeming quality about this movie, same with like Intruder from '89, is the kills. The kills and the gore in this movie are fantastic. Like, fantastic. So good. Like, up there with like some of the best gore and kills of the 80s, like in any 80s slasher, in my opinion. Like, they are so well done. The practical effects and the makeup effects in this movie are so well done that it just elevates this movie to a must-see for 80s slasher fans. So we have the opening, and we have this kid cleaning his dad's guns for his birthday. And he's, for some reason, all these guns are loaded, it seems, in an unlocked cabinet in his family's house. But this little kid, he must be like 8 years old, 10 years old, something like that. And he's cleaning all the guns and accidentally, I mean, when you look at that scene, there's no accident. Like, he pulls the trigger. Like, there's no accident there. You see him pull the fucking trigger. Like, it wasn't like a mistaken, oh shit, how do you work this thing? No, you see the kid actor just pull the trigger. So he ends up shooting his mom and killing his mother. And he goes up to her and like, you don't even see the child actor's like mouth move. So he says like, mama, mama, but like his mouth doesn't move at all. Like, it's just the whole time that the two lines are said. So I don't know if they just said like, all right kid, your lines are mama twice. You think you can handle that? And then something happened. And they had to like ADR it in or something, because that's what it sounds like and looks like. But he's like, mama, mama, and the dad comes home and like chases his son out of the room with a gun, and then drags the corpse of his wife over to the chair and takes like a shot of whiskey or something like that, and then gives a shot to his dead wife's corpse for some reason. So we cut to the future. That doesn't really even say how long, but Ed is the name of the little kid, and his father is also Ed, so this gets confusing. So Big Ed is the father, and regular Ed is the son. And they're like in their 20s, or him and his friends, but they look like they're in their 30s, but that's par for the course with slashers from the 80s especially. And we just have this long scene in a bar of them discussing what to do on fall break, which I'm guessing is Thanksgiving break. I remember like seeing an interview with the director like years ago and him saying that he didn't know what Thanksgiving break was, like where he was from, that it was just always called fall break. And that's also the alternate title for this film. The original title for this film is Fall Break. And I'm so happy they changed it to The Mutilator, but they don't let you forget that this name of this movie was called Fall Break, because we'll get to it. They really don't let you forget the original name of this movie. So they're discussing what to do on fall break and everything. And then Ed gets a call from his father, Big Ed, and tells him to go to his beachfront condo and to lock up and everything for the winter and turn the electricity off and stuff like that. And then we just got more terrible dialogue until it ends with just this terrible delivery with Ed is just like, I got a bad feeling about this. And then you're just saying to yourself, like, please stop right there. Like, don't do what you're about to do. And he goes, it's like, I told you not to. So bad. The dialogue is so bad in this movie. The acting is so atrocious in this movie, for the most part. I mean, Ralph, the character who plays Ralph, is kind of funny. And Ed is a memorable character. That's why I compared it to Intruder at the very beginning. Because, like, Intruder, even though the kills are the main thing of that movie and why it has one of my favorite slasher kills ever, like in the whole genre, and I did a review on Intruder a few weeks ago, but I still like most of the characters in that movie, especially, I mean, we have Renee Estevez in there, who I've said in a few reviews that she's been in those movies, that I adored her growing up. So we have her, we have the Raimi brothers, and there's some just memorable characters in that movie. This movie, it's mostly just Ralph and Ed Like, I didn't even remember their names as I was going through this. I was waiting for another character to say their names to write it down and be like, oh yeah, that's their name, and then forget it like another minute later. And so then we get the title sequence with the song. This movie has its own theme song. We get the title Fall Break on the screen, and it's just its own. I don't know if they wrote it for this movie. They had to have. Like, it sounds like homemade, like not stock music, but like that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't sound like stock music. It sounds like it was made just for this movie, and it's just like this cheery, like piano driven, like cheesy 80s like theme song that plays for minutes. Like, it goes on for minutes, like at least 3 to 4 minutes. This opening scene, like with the theme music and everything, and it is so catchy. And so ridiculous that it'll be stuck in your head long after this movie's over. But it is absolutely ridiculous. And like they cut the music, and one of the kids goes into to get beer, and there's like a 10% discount for senior citizens there, and like he starts saying, I'm a law student and that's discrimination, because it's discriminating against me as a young person, so what if I go get a second 12 pack or whatever, and that way we both make out good. And the guy's like, all right, sure. And then like he comes out and he's like, you'll never believe what I just pulled off. And then you get like the wife or like co-worker of the guy behind the counter saying, another college kid asked to double down on their beer and think they're making out, huh? It's funny. That's a funny scene. And then the music continues, the theme song, a full break. It's so ridiculous. It's so cheesy. It's so awesome. And they stop for one of them to take a piss. Like, the movie has time for that. Like, it's obviously padding the runtime, like, significantly, because this is not a long movie. I think it's like an hour and 20 something minutes. I mean, which is average for back then, but like, take the padding out, this is like an hour long movie. And they were all drinking and driving, like, wide in the open, like, yeah, like, open beer cans in the air, driving down major highways and stuff, the 80s. And they get to the father's cabin, and they start going through, like, his trophy room. He's, like, a big hunter and fisherman and stuff. And these are, like, the fakest looking, like, fish and, like, animal, like, stuffed animals and stuff that you've ever seen. Like, they don't look realistic in the slightest. And then he picks up a picture, and it's a framed picture, like a developed photograph that was then framed. And it's of this guy, like, with his chest torn up and blood everywhere, and he just says that my dad ran over him by accident with a speedboat, like it was an accident. And he has a framed picture of this guy who actually is Buddy Cooper, the director, in a little dead cameo, which I thought was kind of interesting when I read that. But a framed photograph of a guy that he accidentally murdered with a speedboat. So you get an idea of what type of person this father is. And I relate this movie a lot to Blood Rage. I just did a review like yesterday or like the other 2 days ago or so on it, because there's no mystery here. Like, we know who the killer is the entire movie. Like, it's the father. And we know that from like the very beginning. And I just think that's interesting because, it's been done many, many times before, and since especially, but it's not your average, like, mystery killer wearing a mask who doesn't speak or anything like that. So it gets some creative points from me for that. I like this little nice foreshadowing. It's probably one of the most clever things in the movie, besides, like, the kills, but the foreshadowing of, what's her name? Damn, she's the cutest girl in the movie, too, and I can't tell. Sue. That's her name, Sue. And she picks up the fishing gaff, and she's like, what's this? And, like, Ed explains what it is to her and stuff. I think that's clever foreshadowing because of what happens to her later on in the best kill of the movie, in my opinion. And just that little tiny scene of her picking it up and she being the one who discovers it and asking about it and then gets killed with it later. I thought that was a nice little touch that they added in there. And then they're like walking through the house and stuff, and the girlfriend of Ed, I can never remember this girl's name, the real virgin-y one who's like real stand hard on being a virgin and everything. And so she's living through this movie. and she's like saying like maybe somebody broke in because the house was left like wide open, and everyone else is totally nonchalant about it, especially Ed. He's like, they probably were just here last night and they were drunk and they forgot and stuff. If anything's missing, we'll call the cops in the morning and report it. And they find this missing battle axe. Well, you can't find something that's missing, you know what I mean. They've noticed that a battle axe is missing off the wall. And Ed's like, yeah, this is where he keeps his battle axe. And she's like, well, it's missing. Like, he's like, well, he probably just took it with him. He took it with him? Like, come on, man. Could you just imagine some dude, like, in a car and stuff, and the passenger seat is like a fucking 6-foot-long battle axe. He's driving down major highways and everything, back out of this beachfront and stuff, and nobody has anything to say about this. That's ridiculous. And then we see Big Ed, the father, sleeping with the battle axe, like curled up against it, in the garage closet. And he's having these dreams of, like, multiple ways of killing his child's son, like when his son was a child, for accidentally killing his wife. And like we see him like strangling him, and we see him just like shoot him in the chest, and then we got like a brutal kill, especially it's on a child, like when he just takes a battle axe and just cuts his neck open and the blood dripping out. Looks awesome. Like I said, the gore in this movie is fan-fucking-tastic. So good. Then we get Mike and Linda, whose names, again, I would never have remembered if they didn't say like 1,000 times in this movie, where's Mike and Linda? So that's their names, Mike and Linda. They go for a beach walk, and they end up coming across some pool that's full of chlorine. And because I watched a few like interviews or like behind the scenes on this movie years ago, I remember this specifically, that they like filled the pool up with milk, like, and like to add it to the water, like gallons and gallons of milk added to the pool water to make it look all chlorine-y and stuff like that, like really full of chlorine. So they find this pool, and whose pool is this? Like, they just go and break into some random person. It looks like a greenhouse almost, just like a tent canopy and stuff. And they go swimming in this pool, and the lights go off. And he makes this line, which I forget every time I rewatch this movie, that he's joking, just because the acting and delivery of the lines is so bad, that the lights go off, and he's like, where'd everybody go? And where'd everyone go? It's just you and her. Like, it's you and your girl, and she's right next to you. There's nobody else there. What do you mean, where'd they go? And then I remember, like, a few minutes later, when they're in the pool, the lights go back on, and then they're in the pool and the lights go off again. And no concern of who's turning these lights on and off. Like, not even a hello, who's there, nothing. They just, like, figure it's a motion sensor or something like that. I don't know. But then she repeats it and says, like, when the lights go off again, she's like, oh, where'd everybody go? And then it reminds me, oh yeah, that's right, he was trying to make a joke earlier, but it just doesn't work at all. So every time I rewatch this, I just think to myself, like, where'd everybody go? Like, it's just the two of you. There's no one else there. And okay, all right, that's what he was trying to joke, but did not come off well at all. So, in probably the most ridiculous kill of this movie, the killer, Big Ed, comes, and they're playing like a game in the pool, since it's so chlorinated and everything that you can't see. So like they're taking turns going under the water and holding their breath, and then like the other person has to find them, and then like they take turns like going under the water and everything and trying to find each other. The killer gets out of his own clothes, takes his own clothes off, because smart killer. You don't want to be killing for the rest of your time at this place in wet clothing. Fucking who does that? What type of killer would do something like that? I don't know. I'm not a killer. Or am I? I'm not. But could I be? Alright, I'm done. But takes all his clothes off, gets in this pool, drowns Linda, right? Her name, see, I still got this checker. Linda, yes. Drowns Linda by just like grabbing her face, pulling her under the water in like this weird, like ultra slow motion, like choppy looking, like it's so weird how they film like this. That's one little shot. But it's like ultra slow motion, like choppy looking shot of her being pulled under the water. Drags her body out of the pool, puts her body somewhere else, comes back, grabs the guy's clothes, and leaves before this guy comes up for air and realizes anything happened. Like, it's so ridiculous. Come on. Like, that's the best that they could have came up with for the first kill of this movie. Like, well, besides the mother getting accidentally killed in the beginning. But come on, really? Like, he could have just... I can think right off the bat, fucking, he's a fisherman or whatever. Come with a harpoon gun and fucking shoot the two of them. Or shoot one of them with a harpoon and fucking do something. Besides that. Like, fucking, like, all that shit. Get out of his own clothes, get in the pool, drown this bitch, take her out of the pool, just put her body to the side, go back, get his clothes and stuff while he's holding his breath underwater and sees none of this. It's so ridiculous. And then the killer puts his clothes back on because, like I said, you don't want to be killing in sopping wet clothing. And then Mike makes it back to the garage and we get an amazing second kill here where he goes to open the closet that Big Ed apparently throughout this whole movie he like goes back into and passes out again and then like wakes up and goes out and kills some more and goes back in and passes out and wakes up and does it again. But he goes, the guy comes out, the Big Ed comes out of the closet and with like a speedboat propeller, that's hard to say, speedboat propeller, and just tears his fucking chest wide open. Like there's just gashes all across his chest, blood everywhere, and so it looks fantastic. It looks so good. The gore, like I said, is just so fucking great in this movie. And I love how he sticks, like they show earlier when like one of the couples are like looking through the garage and they go into one of the closets. There's like two closets. For some reason they always pick the one that has nothing in it and not the one that like Big Ed is sleeping in. And they see like these hooks that are like really sharp, and she even makes a comment like, why they have to be so sharp? And we see that he takes all the victims' heads and sticks them onto these fucking hooks, and just that's how he keeps all his victims, like keeps them in the closet hooked up to these hooks on the wall. Really cool touch that they have that in there. I remember on the VHS cover and stuff that they had them like hung up like with rope, but I guess they couldn't really show like them with fucking spikes in the back of their heads on the VHS cover. But I specifically remember that from when I was a kid, like in Blockbuster and stuff, and going and renting this movie for the first time. But then we get the cop kill. There's a cop or beach patrolman who's on the beach or whatever, and he runs into the kids and says, be careful because lightning's coming in, whatever. So then he goes to check the house out, and Big Ed comes and just sticks a machete right through his face, like right here, and it stays on that shot for a little bit, like a decent amount of seconds, and it's the blood coming. It looks fantastic. And then he takes his battle axe and he just decapitates him, and his head rolls in front of the flashlight that he drops, so the flashlight is like shining, like not too brightly but just enough on the head that it looks so good. Such an awesome kill. Probably my second favorite in the movie. Then they start playing hide and seek, or like some like derivative of hide and seek, and what the hell do they call it, blind man's bluff. I think it's blind man's bluff. Like they have to go outside and drink a beer while one person hides, and then they have to go in and like look for that person, and then if they find that person, then they have to hide with them, and then until there's only one person left looking around, and then the game's over or whatever. And hide and seek is great, like for horror movies and stuff, for like building tension and everything like that, which doesn't really happen here in this movie. But they're playing I'm just going to call it hide and seek. They're playing hide and seek, and it's ridiculous because it's supposed to be like really dark, and like even when they come in the house and they're looking for like whoever's hiding, they're like holding the walls to walk, like they can't see anything, but yet we see the windows and there's light coming through these windows, like a decent amount of light, like enough that like obviously we as the audience can see clear as day what's going on in the room. But even if I suspend disbelief for that, there's still a decent amount of light coming in that there's no way that they have to be holding the walls to like maneuver themselves around this place. No way at all. Makes no sense at all. It's definitely not that dark in this fucking house. And let's see. Oh yeah, and then and then like three of them like are hiding and stuff, and there's only Ed left. And Big Ed, the killer, comes walking through the room. And the girl, like, who's standing up, like the first one who hid, her eyes are wide open. And she sees, like, she has to have seen this guy, like, walking through the room. and she says nothing. Like, she has no reaction at all. Like, he might as well have been dressed like a fucking clown or a jester or something like that, and it still would have no reaction from her, even though her eyes are wide open looking straight at him. No reaction at all. Like, that's not our friend. This is some strange old dude. Like, it's so ridiculous, man. Oh, I love this movie so much. It's like I said, it's another one of that's just so bad. It's amazing 80s movies. It's so good. And this was another movie like Blood Rage, like I mentioned in my Blood Rage review, that up until 5, 6, 7 years ago, like, this movie was not known of. Like, it was, you couldn't find it. It was obscure as can be outside of like hardcore slasher fans and hardcore slasher communities. Like, this was a relatively unknown 80s slasher until like Arrow. I think it was Arrow. Yeah, it wasn't Kino. Arrow released both Blood Rage and The Mutilator on Blu-ray, and then you started hearing a lot more about this movie and stuff. But definitely very obscure 80s slasher up until, like I said, 6, 7 years ago or something like that. And thank God Arrow did what they did and released them on Blu-ray, because they would not be on streaming services or anywhere widely known as they are now in the slasher community if they didn't release those Blu-rays. But then we have the killer. I love how he even puts the cop's decapitated head on a hook and then like rigs his body up to his neck. So it's like his full body is hanging from. That's awesome. That's so fucking funny. Then we get this, and I always say that Pieces has the most random scene ever with the Kung Fu professor and everything, and it's widely cited as the most random scene in an 80s slasher, but I always forget about this scene. Like, and it's weird because anytime I think about this movie, I think about the kills and the scene. But yet I never mention it, like, when random scenes come up. And this might have Pieces beat with the most random scene ever. Like, Ralph is trying to sleep with Sue, and she's like saying, could you go lock up downstairs? And Mike and Linda still didn't come back. And he's like, I'll go find him. And she's like, good, because when you get back, I have something to show you. And it just speeds up like double time. Like twice the speed of the film, and he just, like, there's this piano, like saloon music, like saloon piano music playing, and he just like does this little dance, and then he goes out the door and then comes back in the door and goes like this. It makes no sense. It is so random. It is so hilarious. It is so awesome. And I don't know how I forget about this scene every time I don't, until I watch this movie again, because it is so funny and it's so out of nowhere, like, just complete nonsense thrown in for nonsense sake, and I love it for that. And then Ralph ends up getting a pickaxe through the neck. Again, it looks awesome, like, whatever it is, it looks like a pickaxe, whatever. It four-pronged utility equipment is put through his neck and comes out the back of his neck. And I even like the little touch that they have that, like, because he's holding him up, it's holding him up with the thing through his neck, and then like the handle breaks off, the wooden handle that he's holding breaks off, so it's just the metal prong sticking through his neck. Awesome. Looks great too. Not one of the best kills in the movie, but good, and looks very, very awesome for sure. And then we get the best, most brutal kill in this movie, man. Like I said in my Sleepaway Camp review with Camp Tramp Judy, with the fucking curling iron shoved up inside her and stuff, and how it just leaves everything to imagination. This leaves nothing to imagination, man. This is fucking brutal. So, like, the three of them, Ed, Virgin Girl, I still can't remember her name, and Sue, go to look for the others, and the couple, Ed and his girlfriend, go one way and Sue goes the other way, and she gets just lifted up by the neck by Big Ed and dragged into the garage, and he cleans the table off and throws her body on the table, and he takes the fishing gaff, which, like I said earlier, is great foreshadowing how she was the one who asked about the fishing gaff, and he takes the fishing gaff and just takes it and stabs sticks it up her vagina and just hooks it, and so the other end comes out of like her pelvis area, like her belly area, and there's just intestines stuck on the hook and everything, and then you get this awesome shot from like behind her body, so like the camera's here and then like her body is laying this way, and he pulls up on her, so like her jeans are pulled up and her body's being pulled. Dude, fucking phenomenal how the gore looks in this scene, man. This whole movie, but this scene is brutal, man. Oh, so fucking good. So fucking brutal, vicious shit, man. And I don't know why they cut this, and then like he takes the battle axe and just hits her, and we see later like that her head is like basically almost decapitated, like he sliced it like in half, so it's still hanging on a bit. So we see the aftermath of it, but I don't know why they didn't show that kill for some reason. Maybe it just didn't work out, the practical effects didn't work out, but man, you really don't need it after that fishing gaff scene, man. When I first saw this movie, that was imprinted on my brain forever, that kill, and always will be. That kill is absolutely phenomenal and just vicious, man. Like, I could not imagine. And then the couple, Pam, that's her name. I even wrote it down at the end here. So Pam with exclamation points, that's her name. So Ed and Pam find all the bodies. They find Sue's body first, and that's when you see like her head like almost falling off. Then they open the closet, and we get a great shot of the hooks and stuff with all the bodies, you know, hooked on the against the wall and everything. Awesome shot. It looks really cool, and that's pretty much like what they use for the cover of like this for the VHS. I'm pretty sure the Blu-ray is the same cover as the VHS did, but with them all on the wall and stuff like hooked against it and stuff. Awesome shot. And then Big Ed comes out and he tries to kill his son, and Pam starts throwing shit at him and throws something in his eye or close to his eye, and then they basically think he's dead because he falls down, which like every slasher movie, they're never dead. And they end up getting in the car, and we see Big Ed, like, they don't draw any attention to it, which is great, which I said in other reviews, and mentioned Hereditary for one, like that type of horror where they don't draw attention to things and just let you find it yourself. Like, it don't have like a loud ass jump scare or music blaring and stuff to let you know, like, look here. And I was like, they just have Big Ed like crawl, like just creepily walk in front of the car to the back of it without drawing any attention to it. Really cool shot. And then he ends up he gets on the top of the car and tries stabbing through it with the, it's a convertible, so he tries stabbing through the top of it with the battle axe. And again, amazing effects work, makeup effects. Pam gets a lighter, the car lighter, and just drags it on his hand, like sticks him in the hand and then drags it. And then when she pulls it away, you see the skin like lumped up and shit, like on his head. Awesome. It looks so good. Whoever did, I don't know who did, I didn't look it up, but whoever did the practical effects and makeup effects for this movie, bravo, man. Fucking great job. Then they end up the sheriff's department gets there just in time, as always, and Big Ed is on like the back of the car, and they end up getting the car started because it wouldn't start before that, and they just reverse the car backwards into a cement wall with Big Ed in between the car and the wall, and it just splits him in half. And they pull the car forward, and his fucking bottom half falls with intestines and shit coming out, and then his top half like falls after that. Looks awesome. And then, in just another random ending to a horror movie, one of the cops come over to Big Ed's two pieces, and somehow still alive, ends up just taking the battle axe and just chopping off one of the sheriff deputies or whatever legs right off, and he falls to the ground screaming. We get like a maniacal laugh from Big Ed. And that's basically it. There's like a little scene of them in the hospital, and like they're fine, the two survivors. Then we get bloopers, like end credits with the full break theme song again, which is, and it shows like bloopers, like every actor and stuff. And Cooper, the director of this movie, you can tell like with the budget he had, and I remember hearing too that he had like a whole bunch of friends and family like work on this movie and act in this movie, because like the mother is played by his wife, and the little kid Ed from the beginning was played by his son, and like when you watch these like the credits and stuff, you see the name Cooper like all over the place. It's like Twin Peaks almost. Cooper. And we just get the end credit bloopers to the full break theme song, and that is The Mutilator. Such a funny film, such amazing practical effects and gore, and like I said, bad acting, bad everything basically besides that, but just for the kills alone, this film is absolutely top notch. So if you haven't seen it, and for some reason sat through 29 minutes of me talking about and spoiling the entire movie, definitely check it out. And I will see you guys tomorrow for Found Footage Friday, and have a good night.